One of the hardest subjects to talk about in the world is the subject of politics. Often people have strong ideological views about certain subjects. Though we may share common goals, and honestly, our ends may not look that different in some ways, the way that we get there may be very different. We often focus on those differences, we elevate them, and we end up in an argument. I think what makes it worse in our society is the tendency for Americans to talk in hyperbole and idioms. So often we use those tools of speech to get our points across, trying to communicate a feeling or direction, and in our fervor to prove our point, we overstate it. Sometimes we hear the hyperbole, which is an overstatement meant to highlight a particular characteristic, and we take it too far. We interpret it too harshly or too softly, or get offended majoring on a wrong characteristic of the phrase because, from our viewpoint, it meant something totally different. We often say phrases like, "that's the worst," when it isn't the worst. It's just bad or uncomfortable. And the hard part is when you overstate something and your audience doesn't get what you overstated. You can do more to damage communication than to facilitate it. What happens when you are just trying to communicate something that is bad and it really is the worst ever? Can't use worst anymore, and you have to find a new way because the degree of using the word worst has been stripped away. In thinking about that characteristic of our culture, Matthew 5:37 came to mind. In that verse, Jesus is recorded as saying, all you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. This was in a talk addressing the command to fulfill your oaths to God, saying don't even make any oaths. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. I don't think this is saying that if you speak in hyperbole, it comes from the evil one. But it does make you wonder, thinking about the extreme nature of divisive, overstated verbiage in our culture. We feel the need in each iteration to become more extreme and more hyperbolic in our phrasing as the meaning to the previous phrase seems stale. It's hard not to wonder, should we just say what we mean and mean what we say? When we don't, we may think, what if I don't get the result of urgent movement in others that I wanted? But we may be violating a principle here and creating more problems than we want to create. And there's the thing. We expose our motives as not being as much about communicating accurately to people, but about manipulating them to think and act the way we want. And is that the real driver here? Imagine if we just tried to be accurate, because accuracy is dedicated to the truth, and then left the hyperbole off. Would our rhetoric be less volatile? Or at least the most volatile subjects be left for the most volatile situations? When we attempt to kill a gnat with an elephant gun, we kill the gnat, but we destroy all the things around the gnat and create more problems than we solve. Maybe that's what Jesus was getting at. It's definitely something to think about and maybe to try to implement. If we tried to be as accurate as possible, maybe we would be more adept at hitting the center of the target, and when we miss, it wouldn't be by as much. And quite possibly, we would have a world that is less divisive and more cohesive, with our conversations less contentious and our relationships more rehabilitative. And if we lived life that way, we'd have a better world. I'm Jim Campbell, lead pastor of Bay West Church. Until next time.